Welcome, everyone, to episode 16 of the Brewhouse podcast, a podcast between two brothers where we talk about gaming, tech, entertainment, and everything in between. This week, we're going to be recapping, reviewing, going into kind of all the small details about episode 1 of season 8 of Game of Thrones. We're both huge Game of Thrones fans. We've seen the series through multiple times. Jonathan's been watching, I believe, live since season 2, right, Jonathan?
Yeah, into season 2.
Yeah, and I've been watching live since about halfway through season 3. So we're both very invested in this show. I'm currently reading through the books. I think you've read a couple, Jonathan. You've read the first one.
I've read the first one. I've started the first one a couple times, but I've read like 95% of the first one.
And I think I'm literally halfway through the second one right now.
Yeah,
so
I'll probably go back and finish reading them once he comes out with the next one.
Yeah. So like I said, we're both huge fans. A lot of hype leading into the season, with there only being 6 episodes. They have a lot of storylines to wrap up, really. A
lot.
Yeah. I'm still kind of worried that they're going to rush it, but I think they got off on the right foot on this episode. They did a lot of setup for the rest of the season to where they can kind of just get into the heavy hitters, if that makes sense.
Well, they said they normally take 6 months to film 10 episodes. This season they took a year to film 6.
Yeah, so, I think the big fight scene against the Night King took like 6 months itself to film, or something probably like that. So that one fight scene, which isn't even the whole episode, took as long as a normal season does to film. That's how big it is. So apparently it's rumored that's going to be episode 3, because that's now the longest, because they added some time to it. That's now the longest episode of the season. And it's also...
Well, you think about where it's going in the story. I mean, it's the Battle of Winterfell.
It's the biggest part of the story. Because, I mean, once they do that, they can kind of wrap up all the political stuff between Dany, Jon, and Cersei. Or I say Dany and Jon, if they are still alive, if one of them's alive, or if neither are alive. So starting off, they did a lot of throwbacks in the opening scene to episode 1 of season 1.
The entire episode was a throwback to
so 1. It starts off with at Wintertown and Winterfell, and like the Unsullied are marching through, and it's Dany and Jon arriving at Winterfell, and there's like a little boy running around all excited. They did that to mimic how Arya was when Robert arrived in episode 1. And it's actually the same music as when they arrived in episode 1. And it shows Arya, and she kind of like steps aside, and she smiles and everything. And it's pretty apparent that the Northmen, I don't know, they didn't really show it, but I think they respected Robert Baratheon. They might not necessarily have liked him, but they definitely respected him. They make it... I
was going to say, they don't really care for outsiders.
Yeah, and they make it obvious, like, that the Northmen already don't like Daenerys. Because, like, at least Robert was, like, he was born in the Seven Kingdoms, all this. He had, like, quote-unquote earned it.
Ned.
Yeah, and he was friends with Ned.
So he had been up there a good bit, and, I mean, they had that bond, so it wasn't as bad. But, no, you can definitely tell that they're showing some angst and, who are these people coming in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it also shows the dragons flying over, so, like, everybody sees the dragons. It was the clip from the trailer where, like, Arya's, like, having a big smile, all that kind of stuff. So, like, these Northerners have never seen dragons before, ever. Like, nobody has seen dragons in the Seven Kingdoms until Daenerys got there for a long time. So the first person to enter Winterfell is Jon, and he sees Bran, and you have to realize he hasn't seen Bran or Arya since like episode 2 of season 1. So like, I don't know how many years in the show, but pretty much the entire series they haven't seen each other.
Well, he hasn't talked to Bran since episode 1.
Yeah. And so like he goes up to hug Bran, and he can tell something's off with him already, and they never really. This is maybe one of the bad things about it being a short season. If it was a regular season, they would maybe go into detail where like Bran maybe explains to Jon what happened to him, or when Arya and Jon meet, maybe Arya explains what happened, so on and so forth. But it's kind of just understood that is all done off screen, kind of, and there's kind of just an understanding of what, like, they kind of just understand what each person has gone through.
Right. Right, and you get that from Arya asking later on when she sees Jon, like, how'd you survive a knife through the chest? And he goes, I didn't.
Yeah. So that's kind of that dry humor that John has. He's like, well, I didn't, like, I technically died. And so Sansa says Winterfell is yours, but she almost looks disgusted talking to Daenerys, because she's like, all right, well, like, she technically hasn't earned our trust yet. Like, she may have earned yours, but it's like, and this is brought up later in the show, did you bend the knee because you think she's a good queen, or because, you know, you wanted to get with her, kind of thing?
Yeah, or do you love her?
Yeah, and then Bran just gets straight to the point, I guess, to kind of cut the awkwardness. He's like, yeah, your dragon got brought back to life by the Night King, and literally 100,000 dead people are on their way right now. So we don't have time for this. Yeah, we don't have time for all, like, cut the crap. This is serious business. So then it immediately cuts to the Great Hall at Winterfell, and it's all the lords together, and it's Sansa, Jon, Daenerys, and Tyrion kind of at the head of the table. And if y'all remember from season 7, they made a little boy, Ned Umber. He's, I don't know how old, he's like 11 or something. They made him he's pretty much the lord of the Umbers. So they send him back up to Last Hearth to collect all his men and rally his banners. And Last Hearth, just for kind of a heads up for later and what happens in the show, Last Hearth is the first major settlement below the wall. So
yeah, so it's in between Winterfell and the wall.
Yeah. And then you have little Lyanna Mormont, like, calling Jon out, pretty much saying, you left the king in the north and you came back. Well, I'm not exactly sure what you are now. So on and so forth. So you see, like, there's just and I say awkwardness, like, it wasn't awkward to watch, but it's like awkward in the show where people don't know, they don't really know what's going on. And
there was a lot of humor that cut all these scenes, all these awkward scenes, like, oh, we have to say this because we're trying to finish this storyline, we're trying to do this and this. But no, that's how she always has been. But then Tyrion also just steps up and said, well, he came back and we have armies coming, and he brought Daenerys, and then the Lannister army's coming, and then you hear everybody pretty much like boo him. Yeah.
So Tyrion has, like, he started off the first, like, 4 or 5 seasons, like, super smart, super intelligent. It seemed like he was always doing the right thing for the most part.
I'd say
I'd
say like the first couple seasons, and then there was the down whenever
when he was in Marine.
Yeah.
And he trusted the masters and they, like, took over. Ever since then, he's been, like, all the choices he's made have kind of, I don't want to say he doesn't think them through all the way, but I mean, he messed up big time in season 7. Like, everything he did in season 7 went wrong. And this time it's like, after this scene, he has a scene with Sansa, which is good that they, like, had their kind of reunion, because I'm gonna be straight up, I think Sansa and Tyrion are gonna end up together and ruling the 7 kingdoms together. That's just me, that's my thoughts. But Sansa is, like, grown up a lot, and she's like, I used to think you were the cleverest man in the world.
Yeah, the smartest man alive.
Yeah, because pretty much she's like, how can you trust Cersei? Like, you of all people should know to never trust her. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, he came out and said, you know, well, she has something to fight for now, pretty much making reference to that she's pregnant.
Yeah. Which even then he still takes that for granted, because Cersei's just evil at heart. Like, if there's one person you should never trust in the show, it's her.
Yeah, but she's going to do whatever she can to protect herself and her kids. And I think he took that probably a little bit too genuine whenever she's like, why send my army up there when I can keep them here and protect me? Yeah.
Yeah, she's made it very clear what her objective is. And it's kind of weird that Tyrion didn't notice, oh, she suddenly changed her mind. So I still think he, like, offered something to Cersei. Like, oh, well, Daenerys can't have kids, so when your child is born, they'll be the heir to Daenerys.
Right. Her line is done, pretty much.
Which, do you think Daenerys is pregnant right now?
Maybe. I think that'd be interesting. Like, you know, she's pregnant and she ends up dying during childbirth.
Yeah, that's one of the theories going around.
Her Jon and the baby, you know, end up ruling.
I don't think that'll happen.
No, I think John's gonna end up being North. And now it wouldn't surprise me if, say, like Jamie ends up becoming king,
Hmm.
just because he's had the biggest character arc, the character development throughout the series.
Yeah. See, I think Jamie's going to be Hand of the King.
I think Jamie's gonna die, but
Because they reference, or they bring up Jamie being Hand of the King multiple times during even episode 1. And apparently episode 1 has like a lot of clues in it on what's going to happen this season. So they bring it up like 2 times in episode 1, I'm pretty sure, about him being Hand of the King. So I don't know. That's my thoughts. We can maybe do like a theory video of what we think's going to happen. But getting on to the next part, it's the Jon and Arya reunion. And like I said, I think they paced this episode really well because they had a limited amount of time to do reunions. And there's so
they knew
many
what their
reunions.
focus was going to be.
Yeah.
Focus was going to be on Winterfell and the reunions there. There's so many characters that had met at one point that haven't seen each other in a long time. So all they have to do is, 10 minutes with these few people, 10 minutes with these few people, and it was a really good pacing.
Yeah, so this was probably the longest reunion besides Jon and Sam. Because it's like technically one of the most important. Jon always kind of gave Arya the respect she wanted, even though she was younger, and Arya always treated Jon the best out of all the Stark kids. Brandon.
Well, he didn't treat her just like a kid.
Yeah, like he treated her like he would treat anybody. And I mean, Brandon and Rickon, I don't think they necessarily treated Jon wrongly. They were just so young at the time. Sansa like straight up hated Jon pretty much because her mom hated him. And then I don't think Robb necessarily disliked Jon. He just kind of always talked down to him, and so Arya's like, she kind of seemed emotionless to some people in season 7, but she showed a good bit of emotion in this. Like, she laughs, she smiles, like she got emotional seeing Jon, and pretty much says like, we get that you trust this queen, but you're still like, don't forget that you're a part of the Stark family, and like, just remember where your place is, I guess, kind of like actually defending Sansa.
Yeah, they do the whole weapon exchange too, which I don't know why didn't she show him the dagger? Yeah, I understand that too. That's the biggest thing. But like, why did he need to show her, the Valyrian steel? Just because, I showed you needle, which we ended up making, and then this is what I'm using now. It was a little, awkward.
Kind of random.
I don't know if like maybe she'll end up getting that, or if Jon were to die, like it'd be passed down to her.
It might, yeah, that might have been some foreshadowing or something.
Yeah,
but I thought they did a good job with that reunion. They spent some time on it, which it needed.
So we didn't even talk about the opening scene.
What opening scene?
The opening credits. How they changed it completely.
Oh yeah, they did. It looked really good.
Yeah, so it starts from the view of the Night King going through the wall. Everything's like starting to turn to snow, and it's showing his journey and like his trek that he's gonna make.
Yeah,
at the wall, and then Home Hearth and Winterfell, and then all the way down to King's Landing.
And they go into detail too about like, for Winterfell they show the Great Hall, they show the crypts. King's Landing they show like the pits underneath the throne room where Balerion the Dread skull is. They show the
scorpion bolts. But did you notice like on the rings too, like they were showing like the story with like the meteor or whatever from the episode 1?
Yeah. So I mean the openings always are like, they're designed really well, but this one, it seems really updated. Like, as it goes through the opening in the wall, like the ground is even like changing from like normal snow to kind of like bluish snow.
Right.
So
did one thing that I noticed rewatching the last episode from season 7, when Jamie was leaving, he saw a snowflake on his hand, but every time they showed King's Landing in this season, there was no snow to be found. I'm guessing that was just, like, just foreshadowing that, snow is coming, the Night King is coming.
And you could see King's Landing in the background, but I don't think he was technically quote unquote in King's Landing. He might have been in like one of the surrounding towns maybe. But yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, if it was snowing at the end of last season, it should be snowing now. Which
he definitely put his jetpack on to get to Winterfell though. Yeah.
Well, we don't necessarily know. We don't know the the gap, the amount of time, because I mean it does take a long time to get there.
Yeah, it takes like I'm trying to remember from the books, maybe like 6 months or something like that.
I think it was
there.
6 months, because when they get there in episode 1 of the show, it's like we've been traveling for months, so on and so forth. Yeah. So speaking of King's Landing, after the scene with Arya and Jon, it cuts to King's Landing. Qyburn is telling Cersei that, like, I have some terrible news. The wall has fallen, or the wall's been broken. And Cersei thinks that's a good thing.
Yeah, she's like, good.
Yeah. And then you see Euron arrive with the Golden Company. And I was curious if they were going to introduce the quote-unquote leader of the Golden Company. And, like, I knew they were, but I didn't know who they were going to use. And they actually use Harry Strickland, who's, like, in the lore, that's, like, his actual name. So something interesting about the Golden Company, you probably know this too, is they were actually founded by Targaryen bastards. So that might have something to do later in the story. Apparently they were like super loyal to Rhaegar. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if once they end up turning, if they find out that Jon's Rhaegar's son. Yeah, exactly. Even then, just knowing Daenerys is a Targaryen, that might be enough. And Cersei's pissed off that they didn't bring any elephants. Which that probably would have been really hard and really expensive to do. So not surprised they didn't do that, but
I'm not sure how much they're gonna be able to dive into the Golden Company's backstory. I don't think they have enough time to do that.
No, they don't. So that might not come into effect. And Cersei gets with Euron, which was kind of disappointing, but you could kind of see it was coming.
I don't care. Both those characters could die on this next episode. It wouldn't make a difference to me.
But it was just funny because Cersei was like, if you want a whore, go buy one. If you want a queen, earn her. And then 2 seconds later, it's like, never mind, let's go do it. Yep. Just like I saw people quoting that. It's like, oh my God, this is something to live by. And it's like, did you watch like the next 5 seconds of what happens? Like,
yeah.
So they get it on, and he pretty much says, I'm going to put a prince in your belly. So she might kind of turn her pregnancy and be like, oh yeah, this is your son, when it's actually Jaime's. And you can still kind of tell.
I don't know what she would gain from that, though.
I don't know.
Just control of the maybe get pregnant and then kill him and say, all right, now I rule the Iron Islands too. Yeah,
that's true. But you can still kind of tell Cersei's hurt that Jaime left, because like he brings up Robert Baratheon and she just like lets it go, like whatever. But then he brings up Jaime and she gets like upset about it.
Tells him to get out.
Yeah, it's like she wants to be alone. And they actually switched up the scene in the trailer. It looked like she was smiling at this part and like drinking her wine, but in this episode she's like almost looks like she's crying, kind of like it like actually upset her that Jaime left.
Right.
And then this kind of segment ends with Bronn getting it on with like 3 whores, and then Qyburn walks in.
Trying to.
Yeah. Qyburn walks in.
Qyburn.
Yeah, he pretty much walks in and is like, all right, Cersei wants you to kill Tyrion and Jaime if they survive. Yeah. And gives Bronn the crossbow that Tyrion used to murder Tywin. So.
And then you have another random humor set where Qyburn, when the girl's like, ooh, I like older men. And he goes, sad she'll be dead of the pox within a year.
Yeah.
And Bronn's like, wait, which one?
So a funny Easter egg about that scene, when they're talking about the people getting burnt alive by the dragons, and they talk about somebody with red hair, and like the girl loved his voice or whatever. Apparently they're referring to Ed Sheeran's character in the show.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that one of my buddies told me about that, and I was like, okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So this might have been the thing. Bronn's actor said Bronn's gonna do something that might make people not like him. This might be the thing. I don't know that he would go through with killing Tyrion or Jaime. I think
he wants his castle.
He wants his castle, but I think he's also grown to like Tyrion and Jaime. And he must realize, like after season 7, like what's going on.
When Qyburn came in, I was like, oh wait, is Bronn and Cersei actually going to be in the same scene together?
Yeah, because their actors do not like each other.
Well, no, they're exes.
Yeah. So
they've never acted in the same scene once throughout the seasons.
Yeah, the only time they've been on the same set, I'm pretty sure, like in the same general area, was season finale, season 7, when everybody was together. But even then, Braun and Pod like hightailed it out of there.
Yeah, they left like right away. Yeah.
So is this when Theon comes in? This scene, or is it later?
Yes, no, it's that scene because it's after Euron's like on the.
Yeah.
It's after
So
that.
Theon comes in and saves Yara. They couldn't really spend a lot of time on it. Like they couldn't show the fighting. They pretty much sneak up on Euron's ship where he was holding Yara and literally just take out all the guards. Like it's nothing. They shoot a bunch of arrows and kill them. Yara's like pissed at Theon, but like kind of proud of him at the same time. Like she headbutts him, but then helps him up and they escape.
And then Theon asks to pretty much go back and help everybody else at Winterfell.
While Yara is going back to retake the Iron Islands just in case everybody needs like a fallback, which I think might happen. I think they might lose the first battle of Winterfell or something. I don't know. But she's pretty much going back in case they need a fallback from Winterfell to somewhere where the dead can't get.
We could take this. What if the Night King dies in episode 3?
When did you think he was going to die?
At the end of the season.
I think the Night King arc is going to be done in episode 3.
Okay, so you think it's going to be 3, and then the rest of the season is going to be fighting Cersei.
I think not even that. I think episode 3 is going to be done with the Night King. 4 and 5 they're going to finish up with Cersei, and then episode 6 is going to be them tying everything that hasn't happened yet. So
with a big time jump at the end. Yeah,
with like, are they going to change the government type of the Seven Kingdoms to like a democracy, which I kind of don't hope they do, but they might. Who's going to go where, what they're going to do there, kind of thing. Because one thing to think about, if Gendry lives, will they legitimize his name? So he's a Baratheon, and then he's like one of the strongest people in the Seven Kingdoms. Does he become like the Lord of Storm's End with Arya? Do him and Arya end up together if she survives? Do they rule Winterfell? Do they go to Storm's End? All kind of things could happen. So that's just one character that they have that much to kind of wrap up if he survives.
Right.
Again, we don't know who's going to survive. Literally everybody could die. Like anybody has a chance to die. I feel like
as we've realized watching the show, anybody can die.
Yeah. So Yara goes back to the Iron Islands. Theon is going to go help Jon and them at Winterfell, which Theon's kind of having a redemption arc of his own. He fucked up a lot in the show, and he was at a really low point. Kind of understandably so. He did it to himself, but you still feel bad for the guy. So he's kind of having a redemption arc. He saved Yara, which he said he was going to do, and he's kind of trying to make up for what he did at Winterfell before the Boltons took over. So then it cuts back to Winterfell, and the Karstarks are arriving. And there's kind of like a dialogue between Varys, Tyrion, and Davos.
Yep.
Where it's like, the Karstarks were just at war with the North, but Jon Snow like got rid of that, and pretty much saying, this is why I'm kind of thinking they might change the system of the government, where it's like, what if the Seven Kingdoms were ruled by a woman and a man? Kind of two people running the kingdom together.
Wasn't the Karstarks? That was because Robb killed the.
He killed
Karstark.
Yeah. So then this is when we both had a feeling that some of the footage from the trailers was altered, and this proved it, because Jon rides a fucking dragon, and it was literally the footage of the dragons flying around the north from the trailers. It was just either they edited him off of Rhaegal, or they hadn't put him on there yet.
Well, no, they pulled some Marvel magic.
Yeah, they definitely pulled some Marvel magic. And this was a really funny part, because they land at like kind of a waterfall area, which is a throwback to him and Ygritte.
Yep.
And they start kissing or whatever, and then you hear like a growl kind of, and Jon opens his eyes and the dragons are just staring at him.
Yeah, Jordan's like, careful.
Yeah, it was just really funny. And I thought it was also funny how before like Daenerys kind of climbs on Drogon, and Rhaegal kind of like nudges Jon like for him to get on. I
he was
thought that was
about to
pretty
say,
cool.
it's like, how do I get up? Where do
Yeah,
I
like
climb? And
yeah,
he said, what do I hold on to? And she says, whatever you can.
yeah. So I thought that was a really cool scene. I don't know if we'll see John riding a dragon again during the fight, like the big battle. I think he would
Maybe after.
maybe after if the dragons survive. I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50. Maybe once. I think another one's definitely gonna die. They both might die. I'm kind of 50-50. But I think John's gonna be more of like leading everybody on the ground, because that's in every battle he's been in. That's what he's done. Hardhome, he was on the ground fighting. Battle of the Bastards, he was on the ground fighting.
But you also gonna have to think about who you have on the ground now. I mean, you got Jorah and you got Jaime on the ground too. That can both lead.
And Grey Worm.
And Grey Worm. Grey Worm's gonna turn. I think he's gonna die. They're gonna end up bringing him back.
Oh, I think so too. Yeah, Jorah hasn't been. He hasn't been in like. Well, no, I guess he kind of has. He hasn't been in a battle like this though since the Battle of Pike, when the Iron Islands were rebelling, and he was the second person through after Thoros.
Yeah, and he's also gonna get Sam's sword.
Yeah, Heartsbane. What's the name of the sword?
That's not Heartsbane. Heartsbane was I thought one of the ones for. Let me look.
I can't remember the name of it. It wasn't Joffrey's. Joffrey's was Widow's Wail.
Sword. Yeah. Jaime has Widow's Wail.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. It's Heartsbane.
It's okay. It's Heartsbane. Yeah, because I noticed it. It looked like it in the original trailer they showed, but then it shows a scene of Jorah like looking at it in the kind of post credit teaser for next week.
Right. Well, and you're gonna have Brienne there too.
Yeah, she has a Valyrian steel sword. John has one. Yeah. Arya has the dagger. All that.
She has Oathkeeper, Widow's Wail. There's a lot of ones that are lost.
Yeah, there's a lot that aren't even in the show, but they don't. Like I said, they don't have time to get into that.
Do you think Euron's gonna actually get the horn and kill one of the dragons? Because that happens.
I don't think so. They would have gone into that by now.
Yeah, and then like the Valyrian armor and all that too.
Yeah, they would have gone into all that stuff by now.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing with like the Golden Company. They just they don't have time to delve that deep into it.
Yeah. So after the scene of Daenerys and Jon riding the dragons, it cuts back to Winterfell, and it shows Gendry. He's making a dragonglass axe for the Hound. It actually looks pretty badass. And this is,
and I'm waiting for his, like, if he's gonna make a dragonglass like hammer or something like that.
Yeah, for him. It'll definitely be interesting. They said he was making a unique weapon, which he made one for the Hound. He's making one for Arya, so yeah, he might make one for himself too.
Well, I think he's making he's smelting a dragonglass, and then what's the the Stark's like special blend of like steel or whatever it is. He's not gonna make a Valyrian steel, but he's gonna make like imbued dragonglass weapons.
So this is where what?
I was gonna say the weapon for Arya though. That's also they show previews in that. It's pretty much like a rod, and then her knife's gonna go on the end of it.
You see, but on the thing. Go ahead.
You thought it like shot it or something like that?
No, because on the blueprint she drew, it had dragon glass.
So
it had dragon glass pointing to the tip.
Okay, so
I don't think it's her dagger.
Okay, but it's dragon glass, and I'm thinking that guy's weapon from Bleach, the anime. You know what I'm talking about? Where he's got the long pole and he's got the knife at the end. I'm thinking something like that.
Yeah, kind of like a spear thing.
Yeah, a spear with a dragon glass dagger on the end of it.
So the Hound and Arya have a pretty short reunion. It's like, well, you left me to die, and Arya's like, yeah, I robbed you first though, which was pretty funny. And like Sandor,
oh, you're a cold bitch. And that's why you survived.
Yeah,
and he's pretty much saying like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I think he kind of lets out a grin there after she says that. So their reunion is short lived, but it's pretty funny. And then Arya and Gendry have their reunion, and it's pretty funny. This is another scene where Arya kind of shows emotion, because Gendry like calls her "milady" twice, and she laughs at that, and she actually kind of flirts with Gendry too, like walking off. Yeah. So, but I don't know if they live, they'll probably end up being together. So I thought that was a really good reunion too. Then it cuts to Sansa and Jon. Sansa's saying that the Umbers are staying at their keep pretty much, and they're not going to come. And Sansa says it's because he said he would follow Jon. He said he would follow Jon and not Daenerys. And this is kind of where Sansa, brings up, did you bend the knee because you think she'd be a good queen or because you love her, kind of thing. So
was this in the same time that she was questioning, how am I supposed to feed everybody like this? And he's like,
oh no, that's true. That was the Great Hall scene.
And she's like, I mean, what do dragons eat? I mean, goat, sheep. And Daenerys is like, whatever they want.
Yeah, kind of like I don't to try and outdo the other one. I mean, that's pretty much what it was.
And that's true. Whenever when Daenerys and Jon were going, the reason why they went to go see the dragon is because they have not eaten that much. So I mean, that's kind of like foreshadowing, like they're uneasy about everything too. They don't care for the cold up north.
Yeah, dragons prefer warmth. That's one of the theories as to why Drogon is bigger. Not only because he wasn't being held captive, but potentially because he flew over old Valyria, and there was like, there was the Doom or whatever, where I guess technically a volcano exploded or something.
Well, there's also the fact that she just coddled Drogon and gave him and favored him the most, rode him and spent more time with him. So Rhaegal and Viserion didn't get the same kind of nurture that he did. So that's also a prominent reason why he would be bigger.
And so after that scene with Sansa is probably my two favorite segments of the show, or the episode, should I say. It's Dany and Jorah are like walking into the library to meet Sam, and Sam kind of like, he's reading and he notices who it is, and he gets shocked and he's like, oh, and he stands up and he's like, there's a funny moment where he's like asking to be pardoned for borrowing some books from the Citadel.
And she's joking with him and saying like how I'm going to reinstate you, maybe even make you a full-fledged maester. And he's like, oh.
Yeah, and then he mentions about stealing his dad's sword. And, she knows his last name is Tarly. And she's pretty much breaks the news that, yeah, I murdered your dad. And Sam's like, oh, well, my brother's Lord now, so I can go home after all this is done. And she's like, no, I murdered him too, actually.
Yeah, he was standing right next to your dad.
Yeah.
And she was standing with a straight face, pretty much like, I'd do it again.
Yeah, like, you can see the look on Jorah's face where he's like, he understands and he sympathizes with Sam, but Daenerys is like stone cold at this part, which, I mean, she kind of has to be, because like, I mean, what was she going to do?
That's the way she was like molded into.
Yeah, and like, she didn't know, like, even if she did know, she probably would have done it anyway, or she definitely would have done it anyway. But I think John Michael Bradley is the guy that plays Sam. That's his name.
Yes.
Really good acting. He gets like really flustered. He didn't necessarily like his dad, but that was still his dad.
So him, I saw, I think it was on something else where before he was on his first scene for Game of Thrones, he had only acted 3 hours in his entire career.
Yeah, he was at like an acting school, and he was at school for 3 hours for the day or whatever, and he was done, and then he went audition for Game of Thrones.
And you can kind of see that in the first couple of seasons, but then he just developed that own demeanor into his character. Yeah,
like we've seen him get emotional a little bit, but the acting in these next two scenes, like this scene and the next scene, were just phenomenal. So he pretty much gets like really flustered, doesn't know what to do, runs outside, almost gets run over by a wagon, and he sees Bran just chilling at the gate,
staring at everybody.
Yeah, the Bran memes were on point today.
Oh my god, he got destroyed for 24 hours. I love it.
Yeah, but this was something I didn't notice the first time. Sam walks up to Bran and he's like, "What are you doing out here?" And Bran's like, "I'm waiting for an old friend, aka Jaime."
I got that. Yeah,
because he knows Jaime's coming because he can see like everywhere and everything that's happened. So he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna wait right here. I want to be one of the first people you see when you get here." And this is something I didn't think they were gonna do. Bran tells Sam he's the one that needs to tell Jon the truth about his parents.
I could see that. I understand that because I mean Bran has no emotion. So
he has no emotion, and Jon hasn't seen him in so long. He pretty much, Sam would have no reason to lie to him, and Sam owes Jon his life multiple times over, and is also the person Jon probably trusts the most out of anyone.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, out of everyone.
Yeah, because like I said, Bran wasn't necessarily, I don't think he was mean to Jon. He was just so young. But Sam's pretty much more of a brother than any of the Stark boys were.
Well, yeah,
Besides
they took
maybe
the block
Rob.
together. They
Yeah.
were across the wall together. And
Yeah. So Jon's down in the crypts and Sam like straight up falls down the stairs into the crypts, which was pretty funny.
Yeah, he's standing by Ned's grave.
Yeah. Which
So you hadn't seen that yet
which
until
there's an Easter egg at when we'll get to that. So Sam's going through like all this stuff, like, you know, you gave up your crown, but you were a leader before you became king in the North, you know. And then also he tells Jon about, like, did you know that Daenerys did that? And Jon didn't know.
No, he didn't.
And Sam says, would you have done it? And Jon doesn't really answer, but you feel like he might not have, because I don't know. Jon typically knows when to kill someone and when to spare them.
Well, that's when Sam said you saved all those wildlings and brought them back over.
Yeah, and
so you would have did everything you can not to.
And then Jon says, "Well, I wasn't a king then." And Sam's like, "Yes, you were.
Mm-hmm. You've always been one."
Yeah, it's like you've always been. He's like, "I wasn't king. I wasn't king in the North. I gave up my crown." And Sam's like, "I'm talking about the bloody Seven Kingdoms," is what he says.
The whole bloody Seven Kingdoms.
And he tells them like who his parents are. And what's funny is when Ned left Jon, he was like, "Next time we meet, I'll tell you the truth about your parents." So Jon is standing in front of Ned's statue and his bones, which is technically the next time they met, quote unquote. So he's standing in between Lyanna and Ned's statues.
Well, the next time, we're assuming, it's the next time we see him, because he was in Winterfell last season. So,
yeah, that is true. Yeah,
he didn't go down there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
But I thought it was cool. I thought it was cool how
it was the perfect setting for him to be told that his mom's there and his dad, who he considers his, Ned, who he considers his father.
And he's like, well, he's saying my father lied to me, and Sam's like, well, he did it to protect you because Robert would have killed you if he found out.
In a second.
Because he literally, the second he found out Daenerys was alive, he was like, all right, we got to kill her. Like, that's how much he hated the Targaryens.
Yep. And then that's when Varys tried to kill her.
Get him.
And Jorah tried to kill her.
Yeah. But ended up saving her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for this scene, they pretty much kept the camera on Jon Snow the entire time, which I'm glad they did, because, you know, we've heard the story 3 times now about who Jon's parents are, and this is like, it's the biggest bombshell in like the entire show, pretty much. Like, it's the biggest game changer
that's being played out like on the show. Something that we've known about, we've suspected for a couple seasons, and it's finally coming to light, finally being realized through the main character that it affects the most. Yeah,
so they didn't want to show Sam, you know, just saying it's something that we've heard. They wanted to show Jon and his emotion, and I think Kit Harington did a really good job acting the scene out too.
Yeah, and it seems like that he had the little bit of denial at first, but then at the end he just accepted it, especially when Sam, you know, said his full name, you know, Aegon Targaryen. Yeah, 6th of his name, blah blah blah, ruler of the Seven Kingdoms. And like I said, Jon has would trust Sam with anything, like, so he knows it's true coming from Sam. So this is kind of one of those moments where I'm like, they say some stuff off screen too, because Jon kind of knows that Bran can see all these visions, because Sam's like, everything past and present.
Yeah, he's like, I transcribed Archmaester's diary, and Bran did whatever he does. So kind of like there's something going on. Bran has visions. So this was this was definitely the climax of the episode. Like, everything was leading up to this, and it ends with kind of, I don't know if Jon's questioning his allegiance to Daenerys, but Sam's like, well, you gave up your crown for the better of your people. Would she do the same? Kind of saying like Jon should be the king, even though he doesn't necessarily want to. He would, from what Sam has seen, Jon would be a better king than Daenerys.
Yeah, the biggest thing with that is that Jon doesn't want to be king.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he's gonna, if anything, is gonna take it, you know, the joint approach, saying we're gonna be king and queen. We're both gonna make decisions this way. They fear you and they'll follow you, but they respect me and they'll follow me also.
Yeah, exactly. Because Jon didn't necessarily want to be king in the North. It was kind of pushed upon him by everyone else.
Well, yeah, they needed a figurehead, and he was the last Stark person that they kind of trusted.
Which he gave up, even now that he's back in Winterfell. Sansa's still the Lady of Winterfell, because he like completely gave it up. Yep. So that was definitely the climax of the episode. So going back to Ned Umber, the little kid that they sent back up to Last Hearth, we said Last Hearth was the first stop south of the Wall. The Night King broke through the wall, so you can kind of get where we're going with this.
Yeah, he was supposed to go back with horses and carriages to get the rest of the people because they didn't have enough supplies and stuff to actually move everybody.
Yeah, so it shows Tormund and Beric and a couple other people, a couple Night's Watch guys, a couple wildlings. They're getting to Last Hearth, and they find Dolores Ed, who also left Castle Black to go
Careful, his eyes are blue.
Yeah, that was a funny moment. He's like, his eyes are blue, and Tormund's like, my eyes have always been blue. It was pretty funny. And then they're like, did you find anyone? And they go into like kind of the Great Hall of Last Hearth, and it's little Ned Umber like spiked to the wall, and it has arms and legs creating the kind of swirling symbol that the White Walkers always do. You saw it in the first episode. You've seen it. You've seen it a lot of places. And this scene was creepy as hell, dude.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everybody knew the little kid was going to pop up and scream, though.
Yeah.
I think at one point, were his eyes closed at one point, and then
his eyes switched
back? Then they switch back to him, and in the background, his eyes are open.
Well, Tormund, like, he's in the background, out of focus, and it's focused on Tormund's face. And his eyes are closed at this point, and Tormund's talking. And, like, halfway through Tormund's dialogue, his eyes open. And so, like, I didn't notice it the first time. So when he screamed, I was like, Jesus. But then the second time I watched it, and you could see his eyes open.
See, I didn't see the point where his eyes opened, but I saw
it was like
that when they walked up, they were closed. But then I was watching Tormund, and I looked back at the kid, and it was like, oh, his eyes are open. He's about to attack.
Yeah, like 2/3 of the way through through Tormund's dialogue right there, his eyes open, like kind of slow. And so
Gotcha.
Beric's sword was on fire, and he just stabs him. And it was cool how they made everything catch on fire, not just the body.
Yeah,
like
just slowly burned out all the arms.
Which that little zombie screamed for like a while after it caught on fire. Like, yeah. So that might show that they can, like, you have to still watch out for them if you catch them on fire. Like, they're not just going to immediately die.
Well, hasn't that happened in the past? Like, you know, they would catch on fire and they'd still like run after, like chasing people for a couple seconds. And
yeah,
then fall down.
like when Jon killed the one at Castle Black in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
When he saved Jorah Mormont.
Yep.
He like took the lantern and threw it on the white, and it caught on fire. So yeah, I don't know if that'll come into play, because they've referenced that twice now, how like when they're caught on fire they still move, so we'll see. And then after that, pretty much the last scene of the episode, it shows a hooded person on a horse riding through Wintertown into Winterfell. And
everybody knows it's Jaime.
Well, I knew it was Jaime, but I could see it could have been multiple people. It could have been
Uncle Benjen.
I don't know about that. It could have been Melisandre. It could have been Bronn. But that would have been a huge time jump if it was Bronn.
Yeah, no, that wasn't gonna happen.
So I knew it was either Jaime or Melisandre. But then when he gets off the horse, you could see his hand. So I was like, okay,
yeah,
that's
you saw the hand just like stuck. I was like,
yeah.
Oh,
So he pulls his hood off, and he has like longer hair, and his hair's a lot darker too. It seems like
he's got a full beard going. So
yeah, with like snow in it.
Time has passed. And
he's like he kind of smiles like, okay, I made it. Like, I'm here to do good, because I think Jaime's like honestly a good character now, or he has been for a while. He's had the biggest redemption, I'd say.
Oh, easily.
Him and the Hound, yeah. Arc. Which even then the Hound, Hound is still
he's still up for himself.
Yeah. So Jaime's like looking around, and then there's Bran just sitting at the castle, like
just chilling, just waiting.
Yeah.
Like, what's up? And
the look on Jaime's face is like, oh shit. Like, yeah, like this is the first person I'm gonna see. So
I was not expecting to even see him at all.
I don't know if Bran will be mad at Jaime, because like I said, he doesn't show emotion anymore. I don't know.
That's
gonna be a good
reunion. Did it was never come across that Bran realized that it was Jamie that threw him out.
In the books, he does.
Yes, but as soon as he gets the 3-eyed Raven power, obviously he can just go back and watch and see
Yeah.
who did it.
Well,
So he does know.
in the books, he remembers Jamie pushing him, but he doesn't know if that's what actually happened. He doesn't know if like he just dreamt that, and that's why he thinks that. Because like
Gotcha.
I just read that in book 2.
Oh, okay.
Because he's like he feared the Golden Lannister, which is Jamie. You know, golden hair, golden armor when he was in the Kingsguard. And it cuts to black. The trailer for next episode is pretty much there's the dog barking. Pretty much Jamie like saying why they shouldn't kill him, pretty much. Yeah, which
pretty much like you're gonna need me.
Yeah, which I mean Jamie's a really good commander. I don't know that he'll be fighting on the ground. I think he'll be up on like the bannerments or whatever. Like
Yeah,
he'll
the ramparts.
The ramparts. Thank you. He'll be up there, like commanding the forces. Because
See, that's why I think John's going to be up in the air on Rhaegal.
yeah, but they've shown John fighting on the ground too. So he might do both. He might do both. And then it showed like it's understood Tormund's back, and they're like, "How long do we have?" And Tormund says, "Before the sun comes up tomorrow."
Yeah,
So,
they double up on the horses and haul butt back to Winterfell.
So, and I saw some people saying, "Oh, well, it's not realistic how fast the Night King's army is traveling." They're
Have you watched
undead.
any of Game of Thrones?
Well, that too, but they're undead. They don't have to stop for anything. They don't have to stop to eat, to make camp, to sleep. They can literally just march.
Yep.
So, do you think the big fight's going to start next episode, and literally all of episode 3 is just going to be the fight?
I think they're going to arrive at the end,
Mhm.
and that's going to cut to black, and then the entire episode 3 is just going to be them fighting.
What, like so, like from the trailer where you see the dead horse's foot show up? Do you think that'll be the end of next episode?
Yeah, and then it's going to start that, or they might even like go to Clash or something like that, and then
it cuts to black. Yeah. So
now, do you think Hodor is going to be in that army? That's what I've been wanting to ask you.
Oh, I don't know. I think he
so.
might.
I think he is. That's probably going to be a reaction that Bran's going to actually show some emotion to.
Yeah, because there's 3 huge what the fuck moments in the show, 2 of which have already happened. They're confirmed to be like 2 of the moments. The first one was Shireen getting burnt alive,
Mm-hmm.
and the second one was Hodor. No, the second one was Hodor dying. Okay. I think it's like what the fuck, like people dying moments that like I guess you wouldn't expect or something. So I don't know if that would be that.
So it's
moment.
probably Daenerys.
Yeah,
I would say
know.
It's probably Daenerys because everybody thinks, oh, she's unstoppable. She has the dragons, and no one's. She's not going to die before the end. Or
yeah, that's true.
Wouldn't the other one be Jon dying?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think if one of them survives the show, it's going to be Jon. I think Daenerys will die in childbirth. I think Jon might die on the battlefield, and Beric brings him back to life. Like gives him the kiss of life and brings back like his last remaining whatever to bring Jon back, and then Beric dies.
Off topic. It looks like some in-game footage got leaked.
Really?
Oh my god.
Where, on Twitter?
No, it's on YouTube.
How much footage are we talking here?
5 minutes, but oh my god, something massive.
Don't tell me, I don't want to know. Was it like a fight scene?
No, like character.
Oh.
I mean, something we know.
Okay, well, I'll watch it after this. So keep that page up. So actually send that to me on Discord. So guys,
I'm not watching anymore. I'm sorry. I'll send it to you though.
Okay. So guys, that was the wrap for episode 1. I think we covered mostly everything. We went pretty in detail. Covered most of the Easter eggs that we saw and that other people saw. We'll be doing one of these episodes we'll be doing an episode for each episode of the show. So we'll be doing all 6, and then we'll probably do a season-long recap. Give our final thoughts on the episode, or on the season, and the show in general.
Yeah, we'll probably do the season-long recap after the... So we'll do season 8, episode 6 review, and then we'll do the last watch, which is, behind the scenes of making season 8.
Yeah.
And after that, we'll probably do the season 8 review.
Yeah.
And then
Because
even if we want to, we can go after that and do like the show's review, what we wish they would have changed, how they would have gone with it, what they would have added, what they would have taken out.
yeah, like talk about our favorite season, each of our favorite seasons, talk about each of our least favorite seasons, so on and so forth. So we're gonna stream all these episodes every Monday night between 8 and 8:30 Central, and then they'll be posted if you're listening on anywhere besides Twitch. These will be posted probably Tuesday afternoon-ish. Our Avengers Endgame prediction podcast just went up today, so be sure y'all check that out. We're really excited for Endgame. We're going to be doing a very long review on that after we see it.
Very long review.
Yeah, probably like definitely longer than this one, and this is already almost an hour. So guys, let us know what y'all think of the first episode. I think as far as like pacing goes, I think they pretty much hit it on the spot. They got a lot of the story stuff out early so that they could lead into the action of the next 2 episodes or the rest of the season potentially. So a lot of people were like, oh, it was slow. It was a shorter episode. I think they covered everything they needed to.
Yeah, no, I think it was good. I think it was good.
I think it was the perfect, to me, they almost needed a setup episode to like.
Yeah, I think this was a good setup. They needed something like, the reunion type thing, get a bunch of that stuff out of the way.
Yeah. So pretty much one of the only reunions they didn't get to are the ones with Jamie, pretty much, and which they'll get to next episode, like Jamie and Tyrion, Jamie and Bran, Jamie and the Starks, and him and meeting Daenerys, whose father he killed. So that'll definitely be interesting. So guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to like and subscribe, follow whatever platform you're listening on. And we will have another episode live probably this Friday talking about something non-Game of Thrones related. Like I said, we're going to do episode on Tuesday about Game of Thrones, and then Friday will be
Monday or Tuesday. You said Monday earlier.
No, I said we're streaming it Monday, and then we're going to post it live on Tuesday.
Right.
And then the one on Friday will be some other topic, something more of what we usually go over. So we won't have like just a dedicated Game of Thrones episode.
Right.
So guys, until next time, thanks for watching, and
keep gaming.
We'll see y'all later. Peace.
Yeah.